Over 6 years ago, Collin and Sydney Jones moved with their 2 young boys from Roswell, Georgia. It was a surprise weekend away for Collin that turned into a home purchase 9 days later. During that weekend, they happened upon a party at the Grange Green, discovered golf cart charcuterie, and met a family who encouraged them to tour homes while that family ended up watching their son. Serenbe turned out to be the community they didn't know they needed. In today's episode, Steve, Nygren, and I catch up with the Joneses, and not only do we find out what they do for a living, Collin is president of Westwood One, the largest audio network in America, and Sydney is a neonatal and pediatric nurse practitioner at Emory. We also learn that Sydney is becoming a bird watcher, how the resident soccer team has been life-changing for Collin, and we try to solve the mystery of where did their namesake Halsa cocktail go. Oh, and listen until the very end for a bonus story on how Collin's neighbors saved him while on a business trip.
I think the one thing to me that's always striking if you're just driving around in that golf cart is just watch the way that people interact with each other, because people interact with each other here very differently than they do anywhere else. And it's hard to describe until you see it. But when you see the golf cart stopped in the middle of the road and somebody's talking to somebody else and then they drive blocking down the road and they're doing the same thing, it's just the level of community that's been created here is phenomenal.
Collin, Sydney, welcome to Serenbe Stories. I know we've been trying to get you guys on for a little bit, and somebody is very busy, Collin, and keeps changing our dates. Usually it's Steve who has a hard time getting, but it was you guys this time. So welcome.
Between Collin.
How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Doing good.
Steve, you're with us again today.
Looking forward to this conversation. As you know people well on the streets, but you have no idea what they really do in life. So I'm looking forward to even learning about who you really are in your professional life.
Exactly. Well, and I was saying earlier before we started recording that I was reading some podcast news and Collin's name came up as in charge of Westwood One, which we'll learn about more later, which is hilarious because I had no idea what he did. And I was like, oh, he's like kind of a big deal.
Yeah. She doesn't know either.
She doesn't know either.
But we're on the phone a lot.
Exactly. So we want to welcome you and find out. The first question we always ask is, what is your Serenbe story? How did you guys discover Serenbe and come to live with us?
Well, we have a great Serenbe story. At least I think so. I think it's common, but still great. I was an avid watcher of HGTV. So I saw the Serenbe Dream Home over in Grange a long time ago. I don't even know when that was out. But Collin's birthday was coming up and I thought, let's do something fun. Let's go away. So we had my parents come in and watch the boys and we came down to Serenbe. We stayed literally right across the street and we saw, Cabaret in the woods, which was so awesome. It was like nothing we'd ever seen before. The play in the neighborhood, we were just in awe, driving around in a golf cart, which was also extremely fun, which we take for granted now. And then we just thought, what if we moved here? And then we started asking questions. Where do you get your groceries? Where do the kids go to school? And then we went to the general store and Nadine told us to find Raina. We found Raina and the rest is history.
and how soon did you have a contract after that first
Within
visit?
a week.
9 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
9 days.
We were
Within
on
a
the
week.
car ride down here. You forgot the part. We were on the car ride down here and she looked at me and she goes, you're either going to love this week. It was a surprise.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah, that's right.
You're
We
either
didn't
going to love this or you're going to hate this. There's going to be nowhere in between. And so when we got down here, I was like, where are we? Like, this is bizarre. And we're riding around and riding around and riding around. And I think we came upon someone was having a party out in front of the general store. And it was all the golf carts were backed up and they had
It was a bunch of moms and
charcuterie
kids.
board. Yeah, right.
And it was after
bouncing around on the trampoline.
Wine and charcuterie. And I was like,
And what was
my
Aiden?
gosh, I could live here.
And Aiden
First grade. He was going into first grade.
Okay, so he was 7.
Okay.
And Ollie was 2. Well, not even 2. He was 1.5, I think.
And how old are the kids now?
13 and 8.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were like, this is, we both grew up in small towns that were really safe and the kids come home when the street lights go off.
Yeah.
And we were always trying to find that and kind of fell into this for a weekend. And then we had a lot of adult fun too. Like
Yeah.
driving around the golf cart at night, we didn't realize that you could turn the lights
We
on.
didn't know that
we
there
were
were lights.
shining our cell phone lights
Oh,
through the dark part
There are-
between the farmhouse and the hill.
there are some broken cell phone stories doing exactly that, where your lights are dead and you're like, we'll just use the phone and then clunk.
But we had a great time.
It was
Mhm.
so
It was
fun.
really fun.
Yeah.
So then we went, Raina introduced us to George Cohen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just finished our basement in Roswell that we had been putting off for years.
Yeah.
So we had no intention of moving.
No, none.
And George and Michael Mock hooked up together to get us this, financing that made it work. And we brought Aiden back down the next weekend.
And Ollie, remember?
And Ollie.
Ollie doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember.
And then we said yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And you have been in, this is your second house, right?
This is our second house.
Yep. That's a theme on the podcast. We'll
How many houses have you lived in? Yeah.
To realize that people move a lot.
Yeah.
But they live, stay within.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that experience. Like, was there a house available? Like, where was it in construction? And then how did you get into the next one?
It was mid-construction when we bought the first house. We loved it. It was interesting. It was on the pedestrian walkway behind the manor homes. So it was something, it was a different house. It was very cool. And we loved it. But then we thought, what if we could build another house?
Sure.
And then we found the space. And it was right before COVID, or it was during COVID, right when it started, when we bought. And we got a little bit more land. And it's just been amazing. But we did rent a house in between that too. So we've lived in 3 houses now.
Okay.
Yeah. 3. Well, actually 4.
We rented
We
another
4.
house.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Were you in Motto for the 2 rentals?
Yeah.
So you really never left Motto?
No,
though.
never left Motto.
Tried and
Didn't
true.
grow up.
Tried and true.
And now I like to say the largest yard
Oh my
in
gosh.
Motto, which I'm very proud
obsessed
of.
with this.
You're talking about the
I'm
front or the
obsessed.
back? Oh, the back.
back.
The backyard.
Oh, I might
Loves
have to
grass.
come over.
Of actual grass, I should say.
Don't tell Steve.
actual
You have lawn.
Actual lawn. You
No.
can't see it from the road.
Okay, that's the key, right?
Yeah.
We hide our lawns from Steve.
It's mostly
I love
weeds,
it.
so don't worry, Steve.
Well, that's good. You're not putting any chemicals in.
Make chemical free. That's
No,
what happens.
yes.
Natural.
That's all we
why-
really care about. Yeah,
Natural.
that you're not overwatering and putting chemicals in it. You
No.
have a natural lawn.
I assure you.
So tell me a little bit about your background. So you lived in Roswell. Did you guys grow up in Atlanta, or where did you guys grow up?
We met in Atlanta. We met at Park Tavern, actually, at New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve
party.
Park.
Yeah.
I love it.
So New Year's Eve is our sort of meet-iversary every single year. But we lived up in Roswell. We both moved here after college for different reasons. And I took my first job here. She went to Emory to get her second or third or fourth degree, or however many degrees
I like
she has.
school.
You like school?
I do.
And,
at
and
it.
then we lived in Buckhead, and then we lived in Roswell for 7 years. And one of the things that made it available for us to travel down here is I was traveling a lot. I did 90 flights a year. I was doing 90, 100 flights a year.
Okay.
And so the predictability to get to and from the airport, and I was working basically from home otherwise already, but this was pre-COVID. So it
Pre-work
made
from home.
pre-work from home. So it made it really accessible from that perspective.
Right. Because Roswell is like an adorable town. Beautiful,
So
the
cute,
river
yeah.
up there. Everything's so cute.
But you never know how long it takes you to get to
But
the
it's
airport.
tough.
Oh, no. And
Yeah,
within
right
the
in the
town
office.
too, it would take us, 2 miles to get to Aiden's school, but it would take us 40 minutes.
Did you say what kind of schooling you've been doing though?
Oh, lots of schooling. I got my bachelor's in communications with a minor in art history, and then I went back to nursing. And so now I have a master's in nursing, and I'm a certified nurse practitioner, both in pediatrics and neonatal.
Okay. And so
Medicine.
where are you working these days?
I'm at Emory Midtown, Grady, and Children's Healthcare of Atlanta.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And the closer one, the one by Emory, or do you do both of them?
Just Eggleston, which
Just
is the one by
Eggleston.
Emory.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they call them that anymore. They used to be Eggleston and Scottish Rite.
They
but
are,
I'm
yeah.
dating myself at this point.
No, they are. And
They
then
are
they're
so-
opening the new hospital, Arthur Blank, up
Where's-
at North Druid Hills.
Okay.
So it's a new hospital. They're moving all of Eggleston up to
Oh.
Arthur Blank.
But didn't I hear that Grady was doing a whole children's?
They have one. It's
Okay.
called Hugh Spalding.
Okay.
So they do have like a smaller hospital there.
Okay.
And I think it's just
Going
urgent
off on a
care,
tangent
emergency,
here.
and
Okay.
yeah, all the things.
I like it.
Yeah.
And you love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
We
amazing.
do.
We need more nurses.
Yeah.
That's
we really
good.
do.
And we also need more radio stations, right?
Well, the funny thing is, her original degree was in communications,
I
and
know.
then she married somebody in communications
Yeah.
completely. But when we met, I was an investment banker. I wasn't in
So you
communications.
weren't even doing this?
No,
Okay.
no,
So
no,
you
no.
switched.
I switched. I switched. I
So
was
what's your trajectory?
well, I was an investment banker, and I did M&A and restructuring work for an Australian investment bank that was based in Atlanta. And then one of the companies that we banked had just done a big acquisition, and that was Cumulus Media had acquired Citadel Broadcasting back in 2011.
Okay.
And so they needed someone to just sort of come in and follow the CEO around basically and figure out where to plug holes and just jump in on any project. And so I did that job, which
Okay.
was a little terrifying at the time because
Yeah.
I didn't have any idea what I had 5 business cards. I would just make up my title in any given situation, whatever was effective. It was awesome, but it was a little wild. And so I did that for a time. And then Cumulus actually went through its own bankruptcy in 2017, 2018, which was a great position for me to be in a sense, in that I had the institutional knowledge of knowing what it was like to advise companies who were going through bankruptcy. So my first boss, we actually ended up hiring him to help run our bankruptcy during that process. Wow. And through that, I got exposed to many different operating and strategic roles in the company. And then as time has gone on, I've taken on more and more responsibility. So today I run strategy for the company, and then I run Westwood One, which is the largest radio network in the country, and I run our podcast business.
Amazing. I know. We really need to go offline here. Take us to the next level, Collin.
I know. Here we are.
I heard you say media contacts earlier. I'm always looking for media contacts.
Okay, great. I love it. So that is like an amazing sort of like where you came from and how you got here. And so the kids, talk about the kids, because my kids were 2 and 4 when we moved. Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about that, because I think that is like one of the coolest aspects. And Steve has all his grandchildren, which he can attest to. But
we want Saturdays with Steve too. I've mentioned every time I see him with the kids, I'm like, hey, do you need a 13-year-old?
I know. I'm like,
another 8-year-old
dinner at the hill. I'll sit and be quiet and promise not to throw my food.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell me about the kids. Like, one was 2, so he doesn't even know, but he probably doesn't even know anything different.
No, he doesn't, which is hilarious. Yeah. I think that's the funniest thing, because Aiden was 7 when we moved here. He just turned 7. We moved here in the middle of his school year in 1st grade. And Ollie was almost 2. He turned 2 in March when we moved here. And so Ollie, we like to call him our little feral child, because he would go into the general store and, grab food, and he would just walk out.
Steal it.
He thought it was his pantry. And it was fine. No, Dean and Candace knew, and they would just charge the card, because he would just walk in, with his green rain boots, which he wore for, a whole 2 years straight.
What? I had the same thing. My child wore yellow ones. What is that?
I don't know.
Easy in, easy out, and all the mud. It was
amazing. Yeah. He loved them, warm in the house.
Totally.
He didn't like to wear pants, so it would be a diaper and,
Ours were in jammies.
Yeah, diaper and
for years.
Green boots.
Sorry, guys.
Lovely. He would go to Publix. I think we took him to the actual grocery store, and he just would take the food off the shelves and start eating it. I'm like, no, buddy, you can't do that here. That's not. So, and Aiden would never. Right. He has learned, the rules of society.
He had 70s pre-Serenbe, pre-feral child.
Yes. So that's been the funnest thing to see, kind of their differences and their beginnings and where they've ended up. But Aiden, I think, has just flourished under not having to be looked after if he has to go outside. He's 13. So, but in Roswell, we would have had to have more of an eye on him when he was 7. But here we have an eye on him, although we can let him do the things that he would like to do. Let him experiment, let him go out in the woods, let him do the things that children are supposed to do. And he's really flourished. His personality is just amazing. And it's fun to see him in this environment. And then Ollie is just tried and true Serenbe child. So he has the same thing going on as well.
Yeah. Well, and the confidence that they have.
Yes.
There's something about that. Yeah. I know Steve had said that quite a bit.
Everything that's documented by Richard Loeb in Last Child in the Woods, we see it's true. I mean, just the development of the kids. And I attribute our decision to come out here when the kids were in those formative years gave them that confidence.
Yeah.
It shows in school, everywhere in life.
It's so awesome.
And you kind of wonder, is it partly the parents? Like, because I feel like our oldest son, when he was 5 and we moved from 4 to 5, like he was a little bit at the skirts, right? Like, kind of very attached.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, the anxiety.
Yeah. And I'm like, were we
projecting that anxiety onto him?
Anxiety with whatever it was, going out in Grant Park, we were nervous or who knows what. And then we came here and he just sort of became like the mayor of whatever.
And you had to let it go. I mean, when we came down for that in between those 9 days, when we first came here and bought the house, and we brought them down, one of the things that I think was so striking to us was we took Aiden out to the trampoline, and yet there was another party going on at the trampoline that Friday. And we were meeting people, just introducing ourselves and saying, we're looking at houses. We like this lot, whatever. And someone who will remain nameless said, oh, I can take you into this house. It's for sale. And I know you can get a deal on this house.
Leave Aiden here.
Leave Aiden here. We're like,
what?
First off, we just met you.
I'm going to leave you.
Who are you?
6 or 7 years old. And he's the shyest, most anxious child at that age that we'd ever met. And Aiden's just jumping on the trampoline. We go, Aiden, we're going to leave you our phone. He goes, okay, bye. And we left him.
What?
And we toured the neighborhood for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And all the other parents just took him in like they were his own. And
the community
it was amazing.
parenting is awesome.
It was amazing. And that was that.
We had never experienced that before.
I think we
were in a small neighborhood. And I mean, we had a few neighbors that we trusted, of course, but it wasn't this whole community aspect where your child is going to be taken care of like I will take care of my child. Mm-hmm. It was completely something that was different. And with Collin being gone all the time at that point, I had no support. Our family doesn't live here. We had a few friends, but they were farther away. And so seeing that, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. I will live here forever.
It reminds me, you said, is it the parents or the kids or the atmosphere? And it reminds me, it's all of it together.
Yeah, it's a triad.
One family moved here, 2 kids, unnamed. And the mother was, she had been used to all schedules of what do you do and managing. Yes. And to stop me on the street, they'd been here like 3 weeks. Is this okay for the kids? And where should they go to school? It was summer. Where are we going to enroll? And she was just like, oh, what? And I said, the best thing you can do is just relax. The rest of it will all work out.
Yeah. And so true.
About 5 months later, her husband stopped me on the street and he said, thank you.
Oh.
He said, our marriage has so improved because we have relaxed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's hysterical.
And so that affects the kids. I mean,
I believe it.
Everybody.
Yeah, you have to buy into it too. And if you buy into it and let yourself go, it makes a big difference.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, just sort of change over time that you've been here? Remind me, the motto, our third neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So you guys are sort of, jumping in the middle of everything. Yeah. But now we've got, Overlook people are moving in right now. And then we've got Spella coming along, which will be past motto. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about the changes that you've seen. I don't know, because it has kind of been a crazy time, obviously, with COVID too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I have really enjoyed. We moved into Motto when I think maybe half was built at that point. And so it's been so interesting to see how it actually has turned out. And then watching
half of old Motto.
Half of old Motto, yeah. Not the Lupo Loop era.
New Motto was not even.
Oh, okay. I like it. Old Motto and new Motto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I said some.
Look, I'm
some
just
judgment thing.
Oh, wow.
OG. Competition.
Credit for the OG.
No, but it has been so cool, especially in our new house, to look at Lupo Loop, that hill, and all the lights are on it. And it just seems, I don't know, it's a very cool thing to see at night. But I just love watching the changes happen. Sometimes the construction would be a little much, but we are in a much better place now. Yeah. It is done. We don't hear it.
It's all temporary.
It's all temporary. Yeah. Everything comes and goes. It's,
we joke temporary. That it's almost like a rite of passage. Everybody has semi-lived through some type of construction.
You have to, Well, and you have to see the bigger picture too. Yeah. You have to know that what you're going through, it will not last.
And those are new neighbors. Those are going to be new people and neighbors or retail.
Yeah.
Well,
which is also cool.
My antenna is always up what I'm amazed is the people who have come here and then how they become part of the bigger story.
Mm. Yes.
And this grows and grows. And it's like,
what they contribute.
Is this almost some big computer program? Because the people we need kind of
simulation.
And so I'm sitting here thinking, nurse practitioner right in the middle of our health and wellness village where all these were just pushing the boundaries on what health really is. And you're coming from that traditional background.
Oh, yeah.
How cool. And then communication. I mean, Monica, I think there's something more to happen here.
Oh, don't you worry.
Steve's always looking for the next bit.
I already got Collin in my, I'm not going to let him leave this room after this conversation.
What was interesting when we first moved into was it was still small enough that you could kind of get everybody in a room. And so that happened a lot. A lot of people would be in the same room and then you go to the next event and you go to the next thing. And it was all the same people. And I think what has happened with the benefit of growth is there's so many more people. So now every room you go in, it's a little bit of a different mix of everybody that's there, which is really cool. And it's opened up the ability to have these extra things that only happen when you start to scale it. So the soccer, that group that I play, I think it has been a life-changing thing. I know it has been a life-changing thing for a lot of people to play this in this soccer team. And we have now almost 100 people in the WhatsApp group that will play. We play every 8 a.m. every Sunday morning. We can always get 8-on-8 to 11-on-11 plus. And people have changed their lives and their weeks and everything to train for that, just to do it. That wasn't possible in 2017 because there just weren't enough people. So you have that, and everyone, I think, has their own little thing, whether it's sports things or other groups that they're involved in. So that's been a big change, but I think it's a really good addition.
Four softball teams now?
Oh my gosh,
4 softball teams.
I mean, and the tailgating.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So tell me about the soccer, because I don't know who I was talking to. Maybe it was Micah or Gil or Joel or somebody. I don't even know if they played, but they were, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I think they were betting on the teams. I don't know if that's legal, but
There's a little bit of gambling that goes on.
But
Sure
I feel like you played a high school team.
Yeah,
like
we are, I think,
almost
the regional champions of
okay, but I was a little nervous for
6A.
all of that. No offense to the dads.
As you should be, Monica.
I was a little nervous that you were playing against these like hardcore high school kids, which were, I think, top champions.
They were the regional champions. They were 13 and 1.
No one got injured, right?
Nobody got injured.
That is impressive because there are a lot of,
Average age they started was 16 and a half. Average age we started was 43.
Nice.
I think somewhere around there.
Okay.
It's actually funny you mentioned Micah. We set that up. So Heritage is nice enough to let us play on their field because
lovely.
When we need 11 on 11, you got to play on a full field, and a number of the kids go there and our kids go there. So we know the head coach very well. And so I set up a game with them right before playoffs, in between the end of the season and playoffs, so that they could have what we hoped would be a good challenge before that. And we were nervous. We didn't know how it would play. We did say no slide tacklings. They weren't allowed to slide tackle us. But we thought we had a chance because we got pretty good teams out there, and we ended up beating them 3-2.
No, you didn't.
We beat them 3-2.
Congratulations.
And how did they? I mean, were they just amazed?
Well, some of their best players played with us, and some of their older players played with us, and so they knew we were going to bring it. And the coach told them, "They're not going easy on you. They are going to try to destroy you in this game." And so it was a battle. And at the end of the game, Micah comes up to me and he goes, "Collin, I just got to tell you, this is the best thing you've ever done in your entire life." I was like, I don't know about my entire life, Micah, but this was pretty awesome.
In the sports field.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And many of us, if you think of, we played under the lights, 8 o'clock at night. I hadn't done that in 20 years.
Yeah.
I was nervous all day. I was a nervous wreck all day long. It was so much fun.
And the crowd, but like you had a big crowd too, didn't you?
Big crowd. We probably had 100 people there. And there was a little.
People were talking about it in the office. It was like a to-do. Yeah.
I watched at work on the live stream with all of the doctors and NPs. We were just sitting around in this, we call it the fidgebowl. And we were watching it, and we were laughing at first, but then we were really into it.
Sure. Well, and I think what's really interesting is I was like, okay, these kids, I mean, I have that's my kids. Like they'll slide tackle, roll, get up. They're like flexible, knock it. 43-year-old, 55-year-old goes down. I don't know. Their
ligaments don't tear right away.
So yes. So
stretchier.
But we hang in there.
but all these active sports are keeping like Dr. Kate and some of our medical professionals in line. I mean, they can't believe that they're so busy here.
I know.
Well, they did one Sunday where they came out and they stretched everybody in advance. They actually sponsored our jerseys. So it says Precision Performance across the front of the jerseys, which was a very smart move because when I first started, I lost 30 pounds playing soccer.
Yeah.
And when I first started, 30 pounds heavier, I got really bad shin splints, crippling shin splints. I couldn't even walk. And so I went to Precision for 5 months and they fixed it right up. And now I don't have any issues whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so
it's life-changing.
It was a really
Dr.
good,
Kate,
that's the other nice thing. We have one of the best physical therapists right here.
It was awesome. And then getting cryo too. The cryo was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about that. Like Creek Retreat, Greg Kasparian, Melanie, Dr. Melanie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Dr. Kate.
Melanie. I mean, there's so many that you.
No, there's so many you can't get.
And what I love is they all talk then. And so you get your whole healthcare naturally.
Right away.
Yeah. Just right here by neighbors.
They see you walking and they're like, I can fix that.
Exactly.
You can see me tomorrow.
Okay. So one of the things I think is very important to talk about is you have a cocktail named after you.
It's gone. I'm not going to shout out to Halsa anymore.
Oh,
but I was looking at the menu.
What happened?
Don't know.
Okay, well, let's rewind a little bit and give their listeners a little bit of history. So there was a contest.
There was.
Tell us about it.
We cheated. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, maybe.
Whoa. We didn't cheat.
We did.
The rules were clearly published and we just played within the rules.
Right up to the line.
Right up to the line. I mean, Keisha, when she was here, so we had this contest was it during COVID? Was COVID happening at that point? I can't remember.
It was right after.
Has COVID been around forever?
It was right after they opened.
Never ending, yes.
It was right after they opened.
Yeah, it was right after they opened. So she had a contest of how many, transactions you use on your house
transactions.
Account. It was transactions.
Very clear. It was transactions.
Not total sales.
Not total sales.
And so.
Maximum number of transactions.
It was very close to our house.
In the month of May of whatever that year was.
Either 2020, 2021.
Maybe 2019.
2019, maybe. I don't know. But so we would go and we lived
a block away.
Yeah. So we'd go a
In
lot.
your defense.
So we'd have like 7 or 8 transactions
because
a day.
at once, because we would make different transactions. I'd buy a bottle of water, then we'd buy lunch on a different transaction, then we'd buy, dessert. So we'd get 3 for 1, really.
Yeah.
Granted, we were actually in the top 5 of total sales.
Who were you going against? Did you know who you're
no,
I don't. She never told us.
She never told us our competition.
But we were pretty high up there.
And so the winner.
Work smarter, not harder.
That's
and we worked smarter. And we were the winner.
And the winner got a name.
Yeah, no, we got to make a cocktail and name it and put it on the menu.
Okay. And what was your cocktail?
It was Keeping Up with the Joneses, and it was a Moscow Mule, basically, but spicy.
Nice.
So with some jalapeno in it. And there was no Moscow Mule on any menu in any of the restaurants. So we thought this would be perfect. And it was pretty popular. So
it was a fun tasting.
I don't know. We're going to have to dig into this.
I don't know.
Find what happened there.
What's
this
happening?
is a Dateline.
Somebody lost
it's a Dateline mystery.
Somebody lost the recipe.
So we did.
Oh, there you go.
Bring it
That's
back.
a good answer, Stephen.
Bring it back.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe there just wasn't any
first
interest
notice.
anymore.
We could turn this into a mystery podcast.
Yeah.
When did you first notice?
Well,
off the menu.
Funny you would say that. It was about a month ago because I went to see it and I was like,
It's pretty
It's
recent.
not there anymore.
It's dropped, I think. It's pretty recent.
It's pretty recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel slighted.
Do you?
No.
Maybe we need a new contest.
We had a good run. We had a 5-year run.
We had a 5-year run. It was supposed to be every month.
Maybe they're getting ready for a new contest.
Rotating every month.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for a new contest.
I think a new contest would be good. I'm not slighted. I don't feel offended at
you
all.
feel good.
Yeah.
You feel good.
I feel
You
good.
feel confident in
I
your.
feel confident.
The best part was because as they, had new people come in to walk in and go, that's ours. And they
I'd
would
be
go,
like, I'm
what?
keeping up with.
What? This is like a real person? They didn't even realize it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, do you have a phone call you got to get
No,
to?
no,
or-
it's fine.
Okay, I want to make sure.
No, that was one of those,
Did he block his
Spam.
calendar? We'll
Well,
never know.
usually we have a producer, Katrina, and she's really good about journal following things,
Yeah.
which Steve did not do. You
That's
did.
okay.
Well, you're in this business.
No, but nobody calls me, so it's
I
fine.
know, but we're
Unless
excited.
the kids
Katrina,
will.
if you're listening,
I know. Are you
can
gonna
give us a
have to smooth that out, or is it
Yeah,
gonna be,
we'll see.
you'll
Maybe we'll keep it.
You'll have to
Yeah.
do a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
feel real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And coming in here, you said you have how many phone calls a day? I mean, you're used to this.
A
No wonder
lot.
you're
I think
scheduling.
wildly excessive amount of phone calls, 25 Zoom calls.
Whoa.
Probably.
How
It's
are you
brutal.
able to pull off this big job remote?
Well, it's a remote job, I mean, I think, we live in a world now that if you can't do things remotely, it's really, really, really hard to be effective. And there are plenty of things that, in communications, we still do because you can only make that magic or create that chemistry in person.
Yeah.
And so we show up when we need to show up, but otherwise we take advantage of the flexibility and creativity and all the things that come out of being able to operate remotely. So it's different, but because I've been doing it basically almost my whole career at one, I was the first person in the company to have a Zoom meeting, the Zoom account, I think.
And that was what year? And that was what year?
That was 17 or something like that, right? And so I just have figured out how to do it, but it's pretty mind numbing. But it's nice to then be able to get out for a walk, and then you walk a block and you do the PT, or you walk a block and you're at the restaurant, or you walk a block and take the kids to the pool.
And do you take any of these calls on a walk?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, which makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Just looking at nature too while you're on these calls. I feel like
it's amazing what COVID did. I mean, it would have taken corporate America decades to really get to where we are, that they were forced overnight.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Any Westwood One gossip you got for us, or hot news, hot takes?
Hot goss.
What's happening over there? Are you guys opening anything new? Any new podcasts or exciting
we're
people?
always working on
Serenbe
something
Stories
new.
is the brand
We're
new.
always
I know.
Westwood
I
One podcast.
want to break a big Westwood One story here on
That's right.
Serenbe
We'll
Stories.
optimize it. We'll get you in the top 10 Apple.
Okay,
Figure
let's
it out.
work. Okay,
Yeah,
listen,
figure it out.
I'm not letting you.
I know some people.
Well, one of the things we always like to know is what do you guys do in your spare time? We're tending our lawn.
Yes.
We're tending.
The non-lawn.
We've got the kids. We're still going to school. What else is happening? What else are you guys up to?
Oh man,
you've got a lot of new retail coming in Motto.
So much, and I have
unbelievable.
Look at that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to take a photo.
I think we've done ice cream every day since it opened.
That place
Literally every day.
I said they've got to be doing well. There's somebody in there all the time.
So good.
And now we're about to get bagels and
oh my gosh, so much is happening there. I think the major thing I do in my spare time is just look outside or stand outside. I just like to hear the birds. I like to sit on our back porch swing. I just like to be calm. I wasn't like that, 4 years ago. I want to be doing all the things with everyone. But now
because that's a mandatory geothermal neighborhood, you do hear the birds.
You hear the birds.
People don't realize
the
what
wildlife.
a difference.
The birds were up so late the other night too. I was like, aren't they supposed to go to bed? But it was lovely. I liked hearing them. It's just, it's fun. There's a meme going around, how when you get to a certain age, you start bird watching. And I've hit that age, which I love.
Okay,
I'm not mad about it at all. I wish I knew more of the bird names. I think I need to get deeper into that. But
we need to.
Do you have the brochure?
I need to get that. No, I need to get that. I don't
There's
store
birds
it.
of Serenbe.
On Serenbe's trails.
It's like GIF,
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
GIF?
I didn't know that.
Wendy Murray's
grandson really did it.
gosh.
GIF was more of his.
And GIF edited it, but he grew up here with coming to visit his grandparents and started
He was
photographing. He became one of the big birders.
Yeah. That's the coolest
So he
thing
took all the
ever.
photographs and put it together.
Yeah.
That's great.
amazing.
But the Audubon Society said that they see more species here than any place near Metro Atlanta, that this is more like wilderness areas.
Oh, I love that.
Because we don't have chemicals. So the whole biophilia,
And we have all the pollinator plants. And so you're getting all of the, all the other insects and that they like to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do we get cicadas here?
I've been wondering about that.
It's the big cicada year.
The big cicada
cicada
year.
year.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're in that.
I think we're in the zone.
I think
when
we're
you look
on the
colored
edge.
on
We
the
could
map,
be on
but
the
I don't
edge.
know if we are.
But I've been hearing they're coming out in Illinois and
They're
North
in
Carolina.
Alabama already right now. So I would think they would be
So are
coming out.
Or they just need
I
to
don't know.
catch a train or
I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't want to be a naysayer, but I don't really want them.
Yeah, but if I read a lot about them, they don't hurt you.
And they're nosy and they're big. I
just don't know if they cover trees and then will they cover you and then will they'll
Monica, I will tell you, I was in Ohio in high school, maybe high school or middle school, and we had the big, I think it's the same brood that's coming out now. And we were playing lacrosse and we would have to scoop them up off the field. It was horrifying.
The irrational fear of
And they would fall out of the trees
gonna be
on
awesome.
you.
I saw something. We are on the edge, but we're not in that blackout zone.
Thank the good Lord.
I know. Do you think so? No,
I don't think I can
okay,
do
we're
it.
going to have to dig in a little bit more.
I don't think I can
We'll put
do
a
it.
link in the show notes about some.
this is.
information about cicadas.
I don't think I can do it. I really think we need to dive deep. Let's do another podcast on this.
We could. Maybe we'll do a bonus episode.
We'll have to have GIF do a whole.
That's what we
Maybe get someone who
we
actually
need a
knows what we're talking
button
about.
that's
We'll
like
make
we
it
just
up.
dial GIF in. GIF, can you answer these
Can you
questions?
tell us more about
insects. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, the final question we like to ask is: if somebody was visiting Serenbe for the first time, what advice would you give them to go do or see or experience?
I think the advice I would give anyone was just to get on a golf cart or start walking and just see what is out there and just interject yourself into anything you see that's going on, because there's always so much happening and you don't really get a sense of what it's like to live here unless you do that. But also go to all the retail stores, stop in to the real estate office and just look, because you might never expect, but you'll probably live here if you come here.
Yeah. And I think, all of that is great and the amenities are awesome. But I think the one thing to me that's always striking, if you're just driving around in that golf cart, is just watch the way that people interact with each other, because people interact with each other here very differently than they do anywhere else. And it's hard to describe until you see it. But when you see the golf cart stopped in the middle of the road and somebody's talking to somebody else and then they drive blocking down the road and they're doing the same thing, it's just the level of community that's been created here is phenomenal. And you'll see that in the stores, you'll see that at the restaurants, but you'll see it more so just watching how other people interact.
And wave
cool.
to people. They'll wave back.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
No, it's a real different. You can't. We just recently had people here with JLL who are going to be handling our senior housing.
Yes.
We're taking that to market here in a few weeks. And so they brought their senior team in from Boston who knew nothing about Serenbe other than the research they'd done. Yeah. They clearly, the local team, there's enough research. They've taken this project on, so they knew it's something. But you could tell. They arrived from the airport. They came out, pulled in, came here. So, from Atlanta Noonan Road. And they're sitting down. You can just see on their face, why has the local office decided we should do this project? You get to the point. And so it's those questions. Well, our research shows, that we have drive-by. Where's your market coming from? Because you don't seem to have hit any of these checks. Since we try to talk about, And so, 100 units, how long is it going to take to absorb this? Wow. And they were just, so anyhow, then we go on tour, we have lunch. By the time they leave, it's, where's the expansion area? You have to be here. No matter how much research you do, how much you look at it, you cannot experience it.
And you really get out of it what you put in. And I want to tell this one story because it's a little story, but it's so emblematic of what I'm talking about. So because I was traveling all this time, I would have to take early morning flights a lot. And one day we were in our first house here and the kids are littler and I'm on like a 7 a.m. flight or an 8 a.m. flight, maybe. So no, I think it was a 7 a.m. flight. So I'm sitting on the runway about to take off at 6:30 in the morning. And I get a text from Sydney. It says, why didn't you tell me that there was no more coffee?
To be fair, you make coffee every morning.
To be fair.
I never know.
Yeah. And to be fair, we need coffee in the morning, right? So I turn around. I don't even respond to her.
But the kids were both sick.
The kids were both sick. She needed coffee. Don't defend yourself. You needed coffee. And I turned around and I texted the motto men chain. And I said, oh, guys, I messed up. Anybody help me with some coffee? And in less than 5 minutes, before we had even taxied to get around to the takeoff, someone had brought over a freshly ground coffee. Someone had gone to Halsa, I think, which was open early at that time, and got her a cup of coffee. And then someone had given her another brand new bag of coffee. So she had 3 things of coffee in 5 minutes from one text. And then, so by the time I replied to her, the problem was solved.
Well, if had the kids been well, awesome. I would have walked to get coffee myself. But 100%. Everyone was sick.
100%. It was amazing.
And that text was not as nice as you.
There were expletives. I was told we weren't allowed to use expletives. So
this is a clean podcast.
I mean, that's just a great example, just a little thing. And you see that happen over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for it, you can see it even when you're just visiting.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, we love having you guys as neighbors. Yeah. I just had a flash of us standing in when your house was just built. We all had COVID. Remember this? I was with Ginger.
Yeah.
And I just had
came by right
I had a
Christmas.
flash.
It was like Christmas Eve.
And we were talking to you through your window.
Yeah.
Because you guys.
No, I didn't have COVID.
You didn't have COVID.
I never got it, but I just
you had COVID. Did the kids have COVID?
Both the kids had COVID.
And I feel like it was
Christmas Day.
Ginger and I.
Yeah.
And because we had gotten COVID and like the Sharps had COVID, like 10 people had COVID because we. Can I tell on us? Oh my God. We went to an art opening in Atlanta and we all got
Everybody
COVID
brought it back.
because it was the November of 2020. We'd all gotten our shots and we thought it was over.
It was fine. Yeah.
We went to dinner too. So bad. We tempted fate.
Yeah.
That was like the first time we'd gone out.
To leave campus.
No.
Yeah.
And then we all got COVID.
Yeah.
But then we all hung out when we had COVID.
And there was a whole group of people.
There was a whole group. We would hike together. We were like taking temperatures. I got like locked in our bedroom, but I was able to leave because there was a back door. And I would like went on bike ride. I mean, I don't want to make COVID sound good. This is towards the after the bad part of COVID. But I just had this flash. I'm so sorry, listeners. You're like, what in the world? But that's the kind of thing like that you just have these crazy experiences with people that are sort of organic and we just were walking by. So thank you.
Well, we just love having you here, and it's fun to now know what you do.
I know.
Thank you all.
Yeah, and I think people are still doing Fun Fridays at the Grange trampoline with their kids. So yeah.
It's amazing.
Now there's food trucks.
Yes, and now there's food trucks on Friday. Yeah. See, that didn't used to happen. There's all sorts of fun things that get layered on. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.